welcome to this course, AEM508. Once again, I'm Dr. Okuke Ngodi by name, and today we shall be looking at Module 2, Unit 1 and 2. Under Unit 1, we'll be looking at technological change and societies, and in Unit 2, we'll be looking at the general principles in introducing technological change in the Nigerian agricultural system. And at the end of this course, the students will be able to acquire knowledge about change and the impeding factors surrounding the introduction of change in the society, and they will also be able to remain grounded in the technological transfer process as far as change is concerned. The students will be able to state the guiding principles for successful technological change and the management of this change. And number 3, they shall be able to know about the human and community characteristics needed to drive change in the society. Ladies and gentlemen, it's going to be an interesting course. I encourage all of you to participate actively. Thank you and remain blessed. You are welcome to AEM 508. In 508, we are taking Unit 1, which has the topic technological change and societies. The introduction says that the interrelationship between technological change and societies can be seen as an observable map to help practitioners, whether field practitioners or donors, including the people that they are attempting to assist, to read and thus navigate processes of social change. There is need to observe and understand the change processes that already exist in a living social system and the influence of technology. The intended learner's outcome. At the end of this unit, the students should be able to acquire knowledge on how to maintain a balance between positive and negative forces militating against technological change in societies, discuss reasons for failure of transfer of technology in our local communities or societies, develop competencies on how to efficiently and effectively technology. Introducing change into a society. Now we're looking at the impeding factors. These are the factors that truly impede change from taking place in our societies. And so we say that societies are either heterogeneous or homogeneous in nature. It is heterogeneous when it is open and allowing different cultures to come in, and homogeneous when it's closed, it's not allowing interference from outside. And so this interaction, which spurs competition between the communities and eventually expands, is not there in homogeneous, but it is there in heterogeneous. The nature or kind of person that are in the community will also be an impeding force. And so we say the kind of person, talking about the wealth level, is a factor. And again, we must emphasize that whether the nature of the place, whether heterogeneous or homogeneous, is a factor. The culture or custom of the people is also impeding change. Old age is another factor that impedes change because researchers have found inverse relationship between age and adoption. Fear from where the people is also an impeding factor. Some people don't want to do anything new because they are afraid, okay? And when it is inevitable, they have no choice but to do it. But again, we are saying that inevitable change comes when the society faces forces that militate against. Okay, then again, there's what we call vested interest. Who are the interests of these people that are bringing the change? When the change is targeted at a group of persons, that will be an impeding factor because nobody in particular is of focus. And so at the end of the day, nobody will want to show interest. But when it is targeted at individuals, then that interest will be there. Then another impeding factor is a level of resistance. Okay, when there is resistance from the people, from not wanting to accept the change because of the vested interest, it goes the level or the rate at which the people want to take the change. Again, we talk about rejection of outsiders. Rejection of outsiders is also an impeding factor. When we don't want outsiders to come into the society, we don't want outsiders to want to come in. Of course, it will go a very long way in affecting change because these outsiders will not have the opportunity of sharing what they have with the people. we go on how to succeed in introducing change. There are different ways people can succeed, or community will succeed, or change agent will succeed in introducing change. And that's where this sociologist called Kurt Lewis came up with what we call field theory, who said that there are both positive and negative forces in every societies and in every change that comes our way. And as much as possible, he said, through this field theory, that people should have a balance between positive and negative forces. Again, to introduce change, the change agent must attempt to reduce the negative forces in the field situation following this process. And these processes are, as much as possible, there should be what we call unfreezing. There are three processes anyway. The first one is unfreezing the society. In unfreezing the society, the people are made or educated to understand what the change is all about. And after that, after unfreezing the society and where education of the people now takes place, the next is introducing the change. During that course of unfreezing, the people would have been told the positive factors associated with the change. Then number two, like I said, you introduce the change. And the next is refreezing the society. Well, as it is said, that it is not easy for all this to take place, but what is most important is there is reinforcing of the positive values of the change for community in where the refreezing, at that refreezing stage. So people criticize this, but what do? It has to continue, and this is how change is being introduced. Unfreezing, introduce the change, and refreezing. Transfer of technology. Transfer of technology is all about taking technology from where they are, from the livelihood, where it was generated, and passing it to the people of another place that need it. And so technology brings about social change within a social system, and it is a vital tool, and it impinges or impacts on livelihood, culture, and social institutions. Technology is often linked with science, which is described as application of knowledge of nature for achievement of goals. People's statuses and roles are somehow dependent on technology. The indigenous technology usually fits the environment because that is where it was generated from. It fits into the economy of where it was generated from, and of course it also fits into the social structure, culture, and psychology of the system that originates it. Okay, when it does not fit, either the technology or the system will change. So one has to change. Either we change the technology, or we withdraw the technology, or we. Furthermore, transfer technology is one that moves by plan from one place to another. I think that was what was said before. And when we do that, we are talking about directed change. Some things, however, move into a system without planning, and that is unplanned change. So we have directed change and unplanned change. And of course, that directed change is what is another name for it, is planned change. Okay, if transferred technology does not fit, it is rejected, or the system has to make every large adjustments in order to make a balance. Technology transfer is largely influenced by culture, tradition, number of people involved, and execution. Reasons for failure of transfer of technology. Now we want to look at why do some technologies fail when they are being transferred. They fail because of these reasons. One, there are different goals. When we say different goals, we are looking at where it is coming from and where it is being transferred to. If the goals of these different systems or social systems are different, then it truly cannot work. Okay, then the second there is control of the technology. Who controls the technology? Who holds it? Who owns the technology is the one that controls the technology, and so by the time he's passing it, somehow or somewhere, he may not pass it into two, and so such a technology is bound to fail. You can produce a tractor and never allow the spare parts to go to the place so that when it gets spoiled, they will come for a brand new tractor instead of thinking of how to repair it. And so when the spare parts are not available, that technology is bound to fail. The third one there is the socio-economic environment of donors and receivers. If the socio-economic environment of donors and receivers are different, then such technology would not be able to succeed in where it is coming. It will succeed in where it's coming from, but it will not succeed at two. Okay, we will move on to factors affecting technology transfer at village level. This time we are particular at village level. The first there is environmental factors. I want to talk about environmental factors, ladies and gentlemen. Many of our farmers, they have built a particular feeling about themselves. They have built a nature of farming about themselves. Many of them look at themselves as subsistence farmers and feeling very, very sufficient and feeling contented, and because of that, they will not want to accept the technology when it is being introduced to and knowing quite well that it is introduced to enhance their lives. Okay, then economic factor, which is number two, the stability of prices of inputs and outputs, the profit level, the value addition, the preservation and the utility of the products are determined by the donors, and of course they affect when all these are determined by the donors, and maybe if perhaps if it does not go well, if they don't go well with the receivers, they will definitely not accept. In continuing, social factors are another factor that affect technology. I want to talk about the social factors. We are looking at geographical proximity between the donor and the receiver. If the place where the technology is being generated is very far from where the receiver society is, such technology is bound to fail because the cost of change will be higher, and of course the materials to maintain will not be there because of the distance, and of course there's what we call lack of key ingredients. When there is lack of key ingredients, these ingredients may be there in where it's coming from, but it is not there in where it is going, and for that reason it will not work. There's cultural factors. Cultural factors, of course, to a very large extent, will also make it not to work. There's psychological factors, and the psychological people feel, okay, and so that completes unit 1. And in coming to unit 2, we are looking at general principles in introducing technological change in Nigerian agricultural development. General principles. So here we are particularly concerned about the principles that are concerned in introducing technological change. Transformation requires an intimate understanding of the human side, because all this change, they are being done or carried along by people, okay, as well as communities and culture, values of the people themselves, and of course the behavior which must be changed to deliver the desired results. Technological change management is a basic skill in which most leaders and extension workers need to be competent of. That skill, they really need to be competent of it. This unit takes a look at the basic principles of managing technological change process and provides some tips on how this is applied. At the end of this unit, the students should be able to state the guiding principles for successful technological change management, discuss the human and community characteristics that must be changed to deliver the desired results in technological change process, and of course develop competence in the basic skills required for introducing technological change as an agricultural. Tips to apply when managing change. The first tip there is we should understand that different people react differently to change, and so we must take that into consideration. Everyone has fundamental needs that have to be met. Change often involves a loss, and people go through the loss curve. Expectations need to be managed realistically, and fears have to be. Tips to apply in continuation. Here are some of the tips to apply when managing that change. Giving people information. When you give people information, to a very large extent, the change will be managed. Producing a communication strategy is also a strategy for a group or for groups. Giving people choices. You allow people to make a choice from possible consequences or possible outcomes. Then give people time to think about or what the change is all about. In going further, where the change involves a loss, identify what might replace that loss. Loss is easier to cope with if there is something to replace it. Where it is possible, replace the loss, giving individuals opportunity to express their concerns and provide reassurance. Keep observing good management practices, such as making time for informal discussions and feedback, handle this change. And in talking about the principles of technological change, Principles include address the human side of change systematically. Change starts at the top and begins on one day. Real change happens at the bottom, but the reverse is the case in where we are. The fourth point there is confront reality, demonstrate faith, and craft a vision. Okay? 5 says create ownership, not just buying in. Create ownership. And 6 talks about practice targeted over communication. Practice targeted over communication will help us in overcoming resistance. Explicitly address culture and attack. 8 talks about assess the cultural landscape early, and 9 talks about prepare for the unexpected, and 10 speak to the individual. In conclusion, Unit 5 has enabled us to understand how to better manage a social system for effective and efficient technology transfer process, while Unit 6 revealed that most extension workers managing technological change process know that people matter. These guidelines for advancing change should help dispel some of the mystery of successfully mastering the soft side technological. Here are some of the assignments for you to read. It will help you.